You're listening to the #1 podcast for nonprofit leaders, getting your nonprofit fully funded. This is the Fundraising Masterminds Podcast. Cupcake Wars.
Okay.
A no-talent show. Have you heard of this? A karaoke night.
Okay.
Which I know you're just loving these ideas, right?
I am loving these. These are definitely fundraising ideas, without question. Will they bring in some dollars, but at what cost? Do you want to spend your time, and a lot of time, putting together a multitude of activities that are going to really bring in a small amount of dollars, or are you going to focus your staff to grow the long-term relationship and partnership?
Welcome back to another episode here at the Fundraising Masterminds Podcast. We are so excited that you've chosen to join us today. We've got a great episode lined up for you. We're going to be talking about the top 5 fundraising ideas for 2024. And joining me is my co-host, Jim Dempsey.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Jim. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I can't wait to talk about top 5 fundraising ideas. It's an exciting topic.
Well, I didn't tell you this ahead of time.
Okay.
But I've been doing some research.
Oh, got it. All right.
And I'm pretty proud of this research.
Okay.
I even involved some AI and I've found some great articles.
Nice.
So I came up with 5 brand new fundraising ideas that I think are really relevant to 2024.
All right,
so
let's talk about them.
I wanted to pitch these out to you, and maybe we could, do some rating and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah, this is what the internet is telling me are the top 5 fundraising ideas for 2024.
Okay.
Number 1, Cupcake Wars.
Okay.
I'd never heard of this before, but basically it's a cupcake bake-off where people bake cupcakes and they bring them to the event for table testing. The attendees pay for attendance and they donate for samples and desserts and vote for their favorite.
So this is like a chili cook-off, but with cupcakes.
I guess so.
Yeah. Sounds that, yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess you vote for your favorite one and you pay to attend. And, it creates a lot of buzz.
Sure.
I'm sure there's a lot of great tasting cupcakes.
Yeah, certainly that's an idea.
So I was thinking, that sounds pretty creative. I don't know, never heard of that
qualifies
before.
As an idea.
Now this one was even more creative, and the article actually said that this one is proven to work over 25 years. So it's got 25 years of data proving that this has worked. So this one is called the Cadbury Chocolate Fundraiser.
Okay, got it.
The Cadbury fundraiser is something where everyone in the workplace has encountered at some point.
Okay.
Usually parents take a box of Cadbury chocolates to the workplace and they sell on behalf of the child's at the school or the extracurricular activity or the club. This fundraiser has stood the test of time and has helped charities, schools, social clubs, and many other communities and organizations successfully raise money for 25 years.
Endorsed by the Cadbury Chocolate Company of America or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, apparently one of the best the best times to do this is at 3:30 in the afternoon when people need that sugar rush.
Okay, great. I can't wait to be the employer who has employees hopped up on sugar at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
got it.
The third thing that I came up with is a karaoke night.
Okay.
The karaoke night is where the attendees gather together and they're charged for admission for each song that they sing.
Okay.
So you might also include like contests where the funniest song is, gets awards and things like that.
So I'm buying essentially, if I want to sing 5 songs, it's at $20 a piece or something. I'm donating $100. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was a good idea.
It's an interesting idea.
Okay. So the fourth thing was a no talent show. Have you heard of this?
I have no talent, so that sounds like it's for me.
Yeah, so this might work for you. I could see crew doing this. A fun twist of traditional talent show organized a no talent show. During a no content show, the contestants purposely perform badly.
Okay.
So the idea here is that you charge a couple dollars to get in, and then it's so bad that
they have to pay to exit.
You actually have to pay to exit the room.
Got it. Okay.
So that's a no talent show.
Man. Okay. Wow.
So, and then the fifth thing that I came up with, which I know you're just loving these ideas, right?
I am loving these. Yes.
You're so glad you have a guy who's just come up with these great.
I can't wait
ideas.
to help you with these.
Yeah. You're welcome. So the fifth thing is a raffle.
Okay.
And this one, I know
this is pretty typical.
We know about raffles, right? But this one is unique. Okay. So this is called a win a tank of gas raffle.
Oh, okay.
You sell tickets for $1.
Yeah.
And then the person who wins the raffle wins a
gas
tank
is expensive.
a tank of gas.
Yeah, you get a free tank of gas. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, pretty good idea. I thought that was creative.
It's another idea for sure.
So just generally, I'd love to just get your feedback on this because, you know, I spent a lot of time researching this.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I really like the Cadbury one. I think that's the best one for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Well, Jason, I'll tell you, and you know, these don't surprise me because I see them out there all the time on the chat boards. People are mentioning these kind of ideas all the time. And Jason, as a nonprofit leader, you've got to make a decision. Do you want to spend your time, and a lot of time, putting together a multitude of activities that are going to really bring in a small amount of dollars and really not allow you to grow deep with your partners, because that's what brings in money? Or are you going to focus your staff on a few items that are going to not only raise a good amount of money, but also to grow the long-term relationship and partnership? And unfortunately, this comes back to the basics, Jason, the difference between fundraising and friendraising. These are definitely fundraising ideas, without question. Will they bring in some dollars? But at what cost? At what cost to your staff? At what cost to your relationship with your partners? And you know, the last thing you want to do is have a negative aspect for your partners. You don't want to come across as hokey or have them disrespect you. You want to look for efforts that are going to allow you to go deep with them so that they really see the value of your mission. And that's what we're talking about. Can you just have fun ideas? I mean, I can have fun ideas
what do you
on
mean
my
by,
own.
I mean, I guess the general idea that I was having with these and why I thought they were good ideas is because they're fun.
Yeah.
Right. So like, isn't the goal of a fundraiser just to have fun?
Yeah.
I mean, like we want to bring the fun into fundraising.
Yeah. And Jason, you know, I am all about fun, believe it or not. I really am. But Jason, I always have to say at what cost of doing that. So these are extremely time consuming. The last thing you need to be doing is inundating your partners with all these little fundraising things that just, it really raises the question, if I was a donor, are these guys really doing their mission? Or are they just spending all this time having fundraisers? But then also too, I have to say, at what cost to my staff? Because it really does. It takes away from what they're supposed to be doing, which is their mission. Yeah. But you'll end up burning through your staff because these kinds of things, you know, just are overall are not that productive.
Well, and how much do you think they would actually raise at these kinds of fundraisers?
I mean, honestly, Jason, maybe a couple $1,000s at best on these things. And, you know, if I'm a wrestling club and I'm selling Cadbury candy, $2,000 is going to mean the world to me. But if I am a pregnancy center, if I am a human trafficking organization, $2,000 it's a nice little thing to have. But I'd rather do something that's going to bring in $100,000 rather than do something that's just going to bring in.
Is that possible to do an event?
We are going to talk about today, Jason, 5 fundraising ideas that are going to be yielding that amount of money.
Well,
so
I mean, you got my interest. I mean, I thought raising a couple $1,000s was a great idea.
Yeah. Jason, what I appreciate is these are the decisions that nonprofit leaders, those who are listening to this program, are deciding these every day. People are coming into their office, into an executive director's office with ideas like this every day, and they have to decide, is this something that's worthy of my time? And I have to say, if I'm an executive director and I am a nonprofit leader, I'd have to say, it's not worth my time.
I would love for you to talk to me about, you know, what those 5 fundraising ideas are.
Yeah. And
what, you know, maybe we could talk through the differences between what makes these a better type of thing than the first 5 that I came up with.
Absolutely, Jason. And why don't we just rate these as well too? Because I think that sort of helps our executive directors, our leaders, our development directors know which is valuable. Yeah. Because you can't do all, but we're going to give you 5 generally accepted ideas of
and I'd like
development
to know why
activities and events.
Like, why are these good events?
Right.
Not just because we came up with them.
Well, the first one on our list that we're going to talk about today, Jason, is a golf tournament.
Okay.
Golf tournaments are widely accepted in a lot of nonprofit organizations. It's a great way to not only raise money, but it's also a great way to connect with your partners. That is the really important factor. And I want to differentiate early on between a tournament and a marathon. I put a greater value. In fact, we're going to talk about a-thons here in just a few minutes, and I'd categorize golf a-thons in there. Golf tournaments are really focused more towards a development orientation, more of the friend raising than the fundraising side. And what I mean by that is that when you are recruiting, you're recruiting a handful of golfers to play on an elite course, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about having an entry fee that's high enough at a golf course that people really desire in a particular area to play. And the fee is high enough, but they also are going to get some donated products, a sleeve of golf balls, a golf glove, maybe even a putter that they're going to get from the organization as part of that fee, those donated products and services. But what it does is it gives you 18 holes to play and to develop a relationship with your partners. So on one hand, you're going to raise money through the entry fees, and that will go towards your organization. But on the other hand, you're going to also allow for 2 to 2.5 hours of good, uninterrupted fun time. And that's one of your fun activities, is being on the golf course. Now, we're going to talk about 5 ways to raise money today, because not everyone likes to play golf. And so it really is for a very targeted audience. And I've done hunting weekends, I've done race car rallies. There are a number of things that we've done for our major partners, but not every event is for everyone.
So would you say the golf tournament is more of a major partner type?
It really is.
It's not for the masses.
That's exactly right. Yeah, the marathon will be more for your masses.
Okay.
You're going to have people go out and sponsor per hole. So the goal is to get as many holes as you possibly can. So you've got carts, you're moving fast, and you really don't have uninterrupted time. I mean, people are moving so fast in between swings that they don't have time to talk. Whereas you can spend a nice leisurely 18 holes with some major donors and get a deeper relationship with them.
Okay. So the focus here is on building relationships.
That's right. Yes. It really is. Even though you still will raise some money, and that's good. Yeah. But this is what I'm talking about, more of a value-based event. So you've got a small group of people. You're not having to invest a lot of time, but you are investing in the relationship, and that's the important part.
And at these kinds of events, would you typically have some kind of presentation, like after the tournament, where you'd kind of sit down and have a dinner or lunch and give some kind of, like, hey, we just wanted to share this intentional presentation with the people, or would that be something that would just come up naturally in conversation?
Well, you want it to come up naturally, but the answer is yes to both, Jason, in a sense. It naturally will come up in your conversations. And if you are a leader, you're going to want to bring up those issues. Hey, John, hey, Mary, I just wanted to let you know, thanks so much for your $10,000 gift that you gave at year end. Let me tell you a little bit as we're walking here on the course. Let me tell you a little bit about how your money was used. And we're really excited because it kicked off a program or a project that we wanted to do. We've been wanting to open up our post-abortion counseling program, and that opened up the doors. But to answer your question is, yes, to set aside some time to go ahead and make sure that you do, over a meal at the end, you can talk about those kinds of things that overall will apply to everyone.
How would we rate this kind of event in terms of, fundraising effort and, stuff like that?
Well, I'm going to rate this a 3-star on the FM dial, the Fundraising Mastermind dial. We're gonna rate this a 3 out of 5 because it's strong, but not the strongest.
Okay, so there's better things.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
There's things to come.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the second one. So what do we have for the second one?
The second thing is auctions. Now, Jason, there is a misconception that I am anti-auctions. And we've had people hear me talk about not doing an auction with your vision dinner.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you were against auctions.
No, Jason, no, I am not. In the right context, and the context that I am not in favor of doing auctions is in the context of doing it with a vision dinner, because it really sets the tone in a different direction. Your event no longer becomes about casting a vision for your mission,
right?
But it gets people
on the wrong track.
Yeah, it gets people to be interested. They come because they want to buy a blender, or they want to buy a vacation time. And
right.
And yes, some of that money is going to you, but in reality, it turns out to be not so much.
So how would you do an auction in if you were to do an auction fundraiser?
Yeah, absolutely.
How would you set that up?
Yeah, I'm talking about a standalone auction event. And this is where you would hire a professional auctioneer. It would be one of your 2 or 3 main strategies that you would do. So it wouldn't be one of 15 kinds of things that you're doing over the year. It would be a real cornerstone, really, of one of your events. And so you would actually hire a professional auctioneer. You would have your staff focused in on getting donated products or services, and that would be presented. And it would simply be an auction. You could have a dessert, but not the dessert just as a fun moment before the auction starts.
Well, and then who would you invite to this kind of thing?
Yeah, well, this would be anyone who's really interested in these kinds of things. Now, the big thing to understand is that typically, believe it or not, major donors are not interested in auctions. You may get some major donors in there because they're board members, because they love you. They may just put some money down. But to be honest with you, most of the products that you have, major donors could afford on their own. So you're typically going to have your mid-level donors in a particular auction. So that's anybody who's willing to write a check between $1,000 and $5,000.
Well, and I mean, as far as relationships, how does an auction build relationships? That doesn't seem like there would be a lot of talk time.
And that's right, Jason. You astutely identified probably one of the biggest problems with the auctions, because it does lean more towards the fundraiser than it does the friendraiser.
Okay.
Now, it does allow you to build some relationships with people and connect with individuals the night of the event, but it does lean more towards the fundraising scale than the friendraising scale.
We've given this a 2-star rating.
We did. This gets a 2 on the FM dial. Yep.
The third thing we came up with was small dinner parties.
Yes.
Now, we did a whole episode on small dinner parties a little while ago. Why do you think that this would be a great way to do fundraising in 2024?
Yeah, this does allow you to do friend raising, because you're talking about, with a small dinner party, you're talking about pulling together a small group of people who really have the capacity to make a major gift.
So what are you doing at a small dinner party? Are you giving a presentation? Or are you just talking to them? Like you're just having a meal and you're just talking to them around the table?
Well, the answer to that, once again, as you said before, is yes. There's a little bit of both, because you're talking about leading off with either a dessert time or dinner where you are able to have conversation. You'll get to know people. If you've got this event could be for your current people, and the idea would be to take your current people from this level of giving to this level of giving. But it can also be for prospective new partners. So you may have a board member or a major donor who invites some of their neighbors, colleagues, friends, people from church who have the same capacity. So like I said, your overall goal could be $25,000. You got 5 couples in there. They look around the room and they say, okay, in order for you to hit that $25,000, you're going to need at least $5,000 from each couple, and they get that. But you have a break, and you do And let's all head into the living room. So you may be eating at the dining room, and let's all head into the living room because Jason's going to share something about the heart of Zambia. And then this is where you have the opportunity. Now, I think the big mistake you need to make is that it doesn't need to be too long. You, from my standpoint, you probably need to share a video, either do a video of here's overarching what our organization does. You could either do a video testimony that could be embedded in there, or it could be a separate, or you could even have a live testimony, someone who would actually share their story live and in person, who are there with you. But that needs to be in there, and then certainly present the problem that exists out there that needs to be solved. Talk about the products and services that you provide, and then the opportunities for the future. And that's really you could do that in 30 to 45 minutes.
Now, I was talking to someone on the phone the other day, and they had actually said something that surprised me. They used to do galas and dinners, like the big scale ones, and they said, since COVID, they kind of changed things up, and they had actually shifted to a 100% small dinner party. And she actually said that they've had great success with them to the point where they only are wanting to do small dinner parties.
Personally, I think it's a strategic error to only focus in on one income stream like a small dinner party. Let's just say you wanted to put together an investment portfolio. You wouldn't put 100% of your money into international stocks, even though at one particular point those may be doing really well. At some point in time, it's going to take a downturn. And if you don't have a diversified portfolio, you're going to be in trouble because you're going to take a hit. So you want to balance that. It's the same way with nonprofit organizations. You want to have a diversified portfolio. So do you want to do small dinner parties? Yes. Do you want to do vision dinners? The answer is yes. Small dinner parties have their place. Individuals, especially major donors, will like and may like small dinner parties, but you've also got to have an opportunity to bring in the masses. Don't get me wrong. I'm recommending small dinner parties in here because they work, but you've also got to remember that it's an and not an or.
Okay, so what rating would you give a small dinner party?
Yeah, I'd actually give this a 4 on the FM dial. I'm bullish on the small dinner parties.
Okay,
but I'd like to see. I'd say try it and see how your partners.
All right, so we've got golf tournament is a 3-star.
Yes.
We've got the auction is a 2-star.
Right,
and so not too great on the auction. The small dinner party is a 4-star.
Right.
So that's good. We've got 2 more.
Yep.
But before we share the 2, if you found that this content has been helpful, go ahead and subscribe to this because we are releasing brand new content every week, and we would love for you to get all that content. And when you subscribe, you get notified, and it pops up in your feed, and we would love to just be able to connect with you more regularly. So go ahead and hit subscribe if you found this to be helpful.
Jason, appropriately, we're going to bring up one that we're probably going to get some dislikes on, and this is a-thons. And a-thons are definitely very popular, especially with the pro-life community. Walk-a-thons, jog-a-thons. We talked about that. I was going to unpack slightly the marathons, and so it definitely is something that would be in my top 5. Should we unpack a-thons?
Yeah, like a-thon is a jog-a-thon, bike-a-thon. Now, I've had a lot of experience with these kinds of events. The way that I understand it is it's a great way to engage the community, get them out into the open, get a lot of people involved. They can be good for fundraisers, and in fact, we've seen a lot of ministries. I've seen ministries raise over $100,000 with an a-thon event. Right. And if you do an a-thon event, there's a great software package out there called Fundeasy that has a product called Peer-to-Peer. You've got to do an a-thon with software like this, because essentially the way that we've seen it work really well is where you're registering to the a-thon, and each participant gets their own fundraising page.
Right.
And then they can go out and start getting sponsors and
they
people
essentially doing the fundraising for you.
Yeah. And that's really where we've seen a lot of success as a fundraiser.
Right.
Where the participant is going out and they're raising money on behalf of the organization. Of course, all the money goes to the organization.
Right.
But the people are, I guess some of the problems with that is that a lot of times what ends up happening is you got the participant who's doing the walking going out to their churches or neighborhoods or friends, and they're saying, hey, would you sponsor me? I'm doing this 5K run.
Right.
And so they're people sponsoring them because of the person.
Right.
They don't really know anything about the organization.
Right. And it never really gets beyond that. Jason, I am, for all the reasons you said earlier, I am pro-a-thons, and that's why it's on my list, because it does rally the troops. It does excite the community. It does pull people out into the sun, and they can rally together. All those things are very positive. It is a fun thing you can do. In many cases, they're helping you raise the money, but it doesn't help. It's a one-time deal. They go to their next door neighbor, and their next door neighbor gave them $25 because they liked you, not because they liked the organization.
And then they start getting junk mail,
and then they get more disappointed and frustrated because Jason all of a sudden turned into this.
It does raise money. I have seen a lot of
does raise money.
I've seen a lot of I think the reason why it works so well is because of the fundraising pages, because a lot of times you have the individuals who are raising money on behalf of the organization. Each page has a goal.
Right.
And anytime that you get into a peer-to-peer type thing where, Jim Dempsey is trying to raise $1,000 for the local homeless shelter.
Right.
And people are like, oh, I want to help you,
Right.
And so they want to help you hit your goal because they want to support you.
Right.
But again, they're not giving because of the organization.
Right.
They're giving
or
because
even the
of
mission.
You.
Yeah.
And they're not even going to be the ones showing up. They're not going to be hearing about anything.
That's right.
So it's really a great way to raise cash.
Right.
But
for the moment,
which if that's your goal,
and that's still
I guess
fine,
it could work.
Right.
But the question that we're asking is that a good idea for long-term donor development?
Right. And I don't believe it is for the real long-term benefit. Yeah. So as a result, it's not a 5, it is a 1 on the FM scale, on FM dial.
It's the lowest one so far.
It is, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It just means from the development standpoint, building long-term relationships, it doesn't rate where some of the others.
Yeah. The last one, probably no surprise to our listeners,
is the Perfect Vision Dinner.
And the Perfect Vision Dinner is really probably one of the best rated things. We're going to give this one a 5-star.
Well, and let's unpack this, Jason.
And let's explain why we think that this is a 5-star event.
Well, Jason, nothing that you could do as a nonprofit leader beats going face to face with someone and making a presentation. But you cannot go to 500 people. You can't go to 1,000 people and make a presentation. You can effectively go individually, and that will do a great job. But if you want to get to the masses and you want to present the opportunity, you want to share with them the problem that exists, you want to share with them the services and products that you offer to your audience, and you want to provide opportunities for growth, there is nothing better that you could be doing than the Perfect Vision Dinner.
I haven't found an event that really performs the best. I mean, we tell people who join our mentorship program, because a lot of people are like, well, I've
been doing dinners for years.
We've had people come to us, they're like, I'm doing really well. I've raised $30,000. And we're like, well, if you get our training, we're talking a minimum of $80,000 to $100,000 is usually our baseline target.
That's the bottom. Yeah.
And a lot of times we've seen people raise, between $100,000 and $200,000 for their first dinner.
Right.
And it just goes up from there.
That's right.
Every dinner builds on each other.
Yep.
And I know you've done vision dinners where we've raised over 500,000, over 800,000.
600, 600, 800, right. Yeah. And out of the blocks too, it's amazing. I think about last season when we had individuals that for their first dinner had 400 people and raised $400,000. So it's it can be done, it should be done.
Yep. And really what I love about it is it really is kind of the best of everything.
Right.
I mean, you've got in our program, in our Perfect Vision Dinner mentorship program, one of the things that we walk people through is we don't just tell you how to do the event, but we actually help you just find the right people that are going to host tables.
Right.
We help you find I always tell people, part of the reason why this dinner works is you got to get the right people at the event. So this is an exclusive event. It's an invite only. We're not just sending out invitations to the masses. Right. We want to invite specific kinds of people. We want specific kinds of people to be table hosts. We want a specific kind of presentation. And it's a very strategic message and program to a very strategic type of people group. Right. And we give you all that stuff in our mentorship program. Right at the very beginning, we go through, what kind of venue works the best, what kind of food works the best. We talk about negotiating contracts with the hotel. And one of the biggest values that we add is going through the name storming session with boards. We actually help you find the right people that are going to attend this event. Right. I think a lot of the problems that nonprofits get stuck into when they've been doing the gala for over years and years and years is they feel like they get kind of stuck in a rut where they have the same people coming. They do the same thing every year. They raise about the same amount of money. And they don't feel like they can get to the next level.
If you are not getting at least 30 to 40% new people every dinner, you need to change your model to the Perfect Vision Dinner.
And that's really what we're that's one of our goals is to get that new exposure,
new blood every dinner.
Yep. And so the Perfect Vision Dinner is a mentorship program that we've put together.
Yes.
We only offer it twice a year. We have a very limited space in what we can do. And so if this is something that, you're like, I'd like to know how to do that. We don't recommend that you get on the internet and research how to do a gala. 90% of the information out there
bad and wrong
is really not good for development.
That's right.
And really, Jim, you've done like 2,500 vision dinners and over the years, and working for an organization called Crew, and really you've developed this model of why we call it the Perfect Vision Dinner is because you've really mastered.
We fine-tuned it. We've tested, tried every possible scenario, and found the formula that really allows the best results possible.
Yeah. And so this is the formula that we teach in our mentorship program. Yeah. And the mentorship program really is, it's a 20-week program, which might overwhelm people, but there's 250 items that need to be done in this formula. Right. And we've decided it's better to spread it over 20 weeks and pace yourself. Yeah. So we actually start one in May and we work towards October. And then we also start one in October and work towards April. Right. And those are our 2 blocks of the year and cycles. And really, if this sounds like something that you're interested in, you can go to our website, fundraisingmasterminds.net. There's links in the description of this podcast episode. But I would encourage you to really look into this event. If you've been doing a gala or if you've been thinking about doing a gala, the biggest thing that we love about this is it gets a lot of money in the doors quickly, and it introduces you to a lot of potential long-term relationships. And we also have a big focus on monthly reoccurring partners. Right. So a lot of people that have taken the training have walked away with 30, 40, 50 new monthly partners. Right. And that's one of our goals in this is to get the monthly reoccurring partners up and build that base. So that keeps going year after year after year, and we keep building that base, right? So it's this part of this long-term development strategy. It's a great way to meet new partners. and it's a great way to build your base.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why we give the Perfect Vision Dinner a 5-star.
5-star. Now, Jason, I think I could even take this to a 6-star. I think I figured out a way. If we put Cadbury chocolates at each person's spot, who doesn't need a sugar high at about 9 o'clock at night? I think that could be the perfect scenario to end our event. Yeah. Jason, 5 stars, 100% for the Perfect Vision Dinner. It is not perfect as a whole. Once again, I want to remind everybody, you should never put your eggs all into one basket, and you should never, even with the Perfect Vision Dinner, that should not be the only thing you do. You should have a major donor strategy where you focus in on partner relationships with the critical few, and you need to communicate with people.
That kind of leads me to kind of the final point that I wanted to make in this episode is kind of the best way to kind of string these events together. Right. So just as an example, this is just a way that you can, we're not saying you got to do all 5 of these, for the whole year, like pick maybe 3 or something, but like just as an example, you might kick off the year with a Perfect Vision Dinner in the spring.
Right.
And then, in the summer, that would be a great time to do a golf tournament.
Or an a-thon. Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so that would be a great time in the summer. Yeah. And in the fall,
could be an auction.
You could do an auction or something to that effect. Yeah. And then, of course, we always recommend the year-end giving and the end-of-the-year appeals and stuff like that.
And, so then throughout the year, you could also do small dinner parties. That's the beauty of small dinner parties, is that you could sit down with your board of directors and say, I want each of you to put on 2 small dinners throughout the year, and I'll be at those.
As you're putting on these bigger events and you're meeting different people, we're always trying to identify the critical few.
Right.
Which we talk about a lot.
Right.
And of course, the critical few could be invited to the small dinner parties.
Right.
And the beauty of the small dinner party is you get a program, or you get a system put together of like, this is how you do it.
Right.
And you just repeat.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to reinvent the wheel. You have a presentation put together, and you just, whenever you get 5 people that you think, oh, this would be great, you just throw it out there.
Right.
And so that could be peppered throughout the rest of the year.
And these people get cycled in our 3-3-3 skip method, which is also going to be down in the description, but that you're communicating with people in between these events. And that's so important.
And so that's a way that you can use all these events to create relationships that will help build your confidence in your...
It's that synergy. It's that moves management that you're continuing to go through the win, keep, and lift, winning people your cause, keeping them through cultivation, and lifting them higher giving level.
Right. So stay away from the...
the latest trend.
Stay away from the raffles. Stay away from the stuff that's
Cupcake Wars. I'm sorry about all that. I know that.
No, it's really the reason why those don't work very well is because they don't raise a lot of money. No. They're very time consuming. They get people there for the wrong reasons.
Right.
They're focused on the wrong thing. They're not focused on your mission. Yeah. You don't raise any money anyways. If you think about all the expenses and time that goes into it, I mean, you're probably like net zero if you're
really
lucky.
That's right.
And it really doesn't help you long term.
It doesn't move your mission forward.
Right. So we want to do events that move the mission forward. We want to do events that cultivate relationships, and we want to be strategic in how we do this.
Right.
Different events for different strategies.
Right.
And these are the best 5 that we think work the best. So. Hey, if you found this episode to be helpful, please subscribe. We'd love for you to catch the next one. And thank you for tuning in this episode at Fundraising Masterminds. We'll see you next time.
Take care.